You're having a good time on the couch with your friends. You're having a good time in the bed alone. You're having a good time watching TV. Let us ruin your day. Yay!
Welcome to Now It's Ruined, the podcast for people who hate enjoying things. I'm Kate Bridle.
And I'm Larkin Harrington.
We've got that down so pat now.
So good.
We're so good.
You know
our Ladge has been favoring. We know our own names. The Ladge has gone easy on us also
She's
recently.
Getting smaller.
She's tightening.
Tighten the Ladge.
The Ladge is clenching. If you don't know what we're talking about, you can check out some bonus content if you were a paid patron that we just dropped today on recording time. By the time you hear this, it will be last week. That's a bunch of outtakes and stuff from our last several episodes and some highlights from our Lindbergh Baby bonus episode as well that some of you in the $3 tier might not have gotten to hear. And then also some new stuff from that folks even in the $5 tier have not heard yet. So go check that out. It's like 12 minutes of just little fun goof around times. And you can see how often we mess up.
And fall apart.
I make us sound really smooth with editing.
It's all Kate, really.
But no, we have some natural talent and charisma as well. It's just We do sometimes sit and stare at each other and go, what? And Larkin, also, I have to apologize for my ignorance about the pronunciation of the word Marquess because it came up in a crossword that I was doing and I texted you. And I knew it was like, this rank is above an earl but below a duke. And I was like, hey-o, I know the answer to that. Oh, no, it must have been just below a Marquess, I think it was. Earl was the answer. And so I saw Marquess spelled out and I was like, oh. I was being dumb and just thinking of the French version. And
I could have also spelled it for you.
It is what it is. I look like an asshole, but now I'm formally apologizing. So, I should have asked or clarified because honestly, if it was spelled the way I was thinking it was spelled, there's no way you would have said it that way. I just know you and you wouldn't have pronounced that in that manner. So, I wasn't thinking it through.
French is weird, though.
So. In someone's defense, French is weird. I took a little French in high school. I was, conversational at one point.
Oh,
not anymore.
Never made sense to me.
I can still understand it some. I can understand it very well if I see it written. I think probably because that's most of the studying we did. But if you ask me to speak it,
no. And that's why I get frustrated because you know me. I'm a parrot. I like to hear and copy. So when I can't make my mouth do the weird sounds that you're supposed to, and then it doesn't click when you read the word and you're like, that's that? No.
Well, now that we've established our skills or lack thereof in foreign languages, we're ugly Americans. We don't.
Hey, Japanese makes sense to me, man.
That's true. That's true. You speak Japanese.
It reads and writes the way you say it.
Sorry, I forgot you spoke Japanese. I don't know how. It's one of my favorite traits facts to throw out about you. So I was just too focused on my own shame and ignorance. I was deflecting, projecting. Deflection or projection, I can't. Yeah, projecting, I think, yes.
Yeah.
Maybe both. But actually, psychology talk, very apt for this episode, so.
Oh.
It's a good lead-in, and we don't
and
even
I have
know
no
it.
idea what
I'm
is
so
about to
excited.
happen. I have no idea.
I'm really excited because this also, it's not violent or gory or anything like that. Maybe in parts, very slightly implied. But it gave me the deepest ick that I've felt, I think, so far on the podcast.
That's saying a lot.
In a really weird and specific, spine tingly just way. So just so you all know, it's not going to be telling you not to eat meat or anything like that, except maybe Larkin will take this floor for a second to tell us that. But it's not you're going to be so grossed out by bacon and eggs that you're not going to want to, I'm not talking about factory farming. You can go to other documentaries for that. I don't want to research that on my precious spare time. I would rather look at human misery. Thank you very much. So it's not going to be anything like that. But I think it's really, really interesting, and I hope that you all do too. But first, very brief the briefest of housekeeping. As ever, continue to spread the word. Tell your friends, tell your enemies. This last episode performed really well, so thank you so much. We're excited about that. So glad that so many of you were into it. Please go follow us on Patreon if you haven't already. As I said, we just dropped some new bonus content over there last week for paid patrons, so go check it out. And if you can afford to give us money, we would love that. We will use it to do better things, more research. We could buy books. I was like, we could buy memberships to like JSTOR and stuff.
I just was about to do that, but I have to have a library card.
Oh, yeah. Well, if you all can fund that, that would be really fun for us. And then also one-off things. I want a better mic and stuff like that. So if we get more paid patrons, we can achieve our dreams of giving you even better research stuff. We do our best with what we've got, but we can't do everything because we get paywalled a lot. I do.
Oh, certainly.
And then also just a reminder, when we get up to 666 followers on Patreon of any level, including unpaid, we will do a ridiculous 80s photo shoot and we will let our patrons vote on which result should be our new cover art. So come make our dreams come true. So even if you aren't paid, just go to Patreon and just give us a follow. That's all.
Please. It's all I want. I want that photo shoot so bad.
It's Larkin's dream. Okay, with that, let's get to the ruining.
Let's do it.
Again, you will not be too disgusted by bacon and eggs to eat them ever again. But I'm going to give you, as ever, some unpleasant things to think about the next time you see them in front of you. Okay, so Larkin, I know you are a vegetarian and therefore you do not eat bacon. Have you ever tried bacon?
No, because it literally, even the smell of it in a house, because it stays forever, and it's in your hair, and no, I've never even tried it.
And so you don't like the smell of it even? Mm-mm. You don't think it smells delicious?
No.
What about fake bacon then? Do you not also like this?
Fake bacon's fine. It's never been anything that I'm like, I mean, it's nice when it's crunchy, I guess, but it's not like a flavor that I see. And I'm not a smoky flavor person. I don't like barbecue. I don't like.
Yeah, and they probably put too much of it in those to make up for the fact that it's never going to taste like the wonderful ambrosia that is real bacon from little baby piggies. Because I will tell you, as a non-vegetarian, I have tried to like not eat pork as much now because pigs are really intelligent. Anyway, we said we weren't going to do that, but
they're so smart and mistreated, y'all. They're just as smart as dogs. Come on.
It's pretty fucked up. So there you go. There's that dose of guilt for you. But I have eaten bacon on many an occasion, and it is fucking delicious. And for many Americans and other folks around the world at this point, bacon and eggs are one of the most iconic breakfast combos that exist. Like from the shittiest Denny's to the bougiest brunch place, there is some form of bacon and eggs on the menu. And the reason for its pervasiveness is because this combination was sold to us by a man who was a pioneer of propaganda. In fact, in 1828, he quite literally wrote the book on it, and it is called Propaganda.
Okay. Couldn't be more cut and dry than that.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. He wrote another one called Public Relations, which is the term he preferred later in his life. Or all parts of his life. But he was like, sometimes he was like, I don't really want to call it propaganda. It's public relations. But, you know, he did also write a book called Propaganda, about propaganda.
About propaganda. What's the book going to be about? Propaganda. What you going to call it?
Propaganda. And when you get that shit, you know what you're getting.
You know.
Yeah. Does what it says on the cover.
Oh, I'm already so invested.
So this guy's name was Edward Bernays, and while he later preferred the term, as I said, public relations to propaganda, he is widely acknowledged as a master in the art of psychology and manipulation, particularly in advertising. His advertising techniques, which prioritized targeting people's emotions rather than their logic, were so effective they were utilized by the Nazis. Bernays' advertising campaigns pushed cigarettes on women, helped the U.S. stage a coup in Guatemala, and maybe least thrillingly of all are the reason hairnets are required at certain jobs. Yeah.
Sounds like a great friend to have. Not going to manipulate you or...
Way chill. Never going to gaslight you a day in your life.
No.
Interestingly, I feel like he did have more, and I only really have one kind of unverified fact to make me believe this, but I think he had more lines in his personal life and he just kind of left like his lines at the door when he went to work. It's interesting. So Edward Bernays referred to public relations as the engineering of consent, which...
No, Edward.
This is what I'm talking about, the deep ick. He also wrote another book by that title. So he wasn't hiding it. So let's talk about him. So Bernays came by his knowledge of psychology honestly. He was the nephew of none other than Sigmund Freud. And he was born in Freud's home city of Vienna, Austria in 1891. And when he was just a year old, his parents moved to New York. So he was raised in New York City, but he was still in touch with his uncle Freud, and they vacationed with him in the Alps, and he was very influenced by him and his knowledge and his writings and everything. Bernays excelled in school. He graduated high school at just 16, and then he moved on to Cornell University, my law school alma mater.
Hey.
And apparently his dad really wanted him to study agriculture. And so Edward Bernays did, just to like shut his dad up. He studied agriculture at Cornell, which has a really great agriculture program to this day. Farmy focused up there because it's in the middle of nowhere in New York, in the farm country.
Sure. Yeah. And that's an important field of study for sure.
Absolutely. Oh, yeah. Agriculture is a very respectable field. I'm not trying to shit on agriculture.
No. No.
It's a respectable field. It's farming. No, my grandfather actually worked for the U.S. Department of Agriculture for many, many years on my dad's side. Yeah, he had this award that was shaped like a wheat stalk, which he got because he helped invent this strain of wheat helped engineer a strain of wheat that was resistant to a certain bacteria and like helped save the pasta industry. And then also apparently, I just learned this from Anna like 2 weeks ago from my sister. He helped develop the first quick boil pasta.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Which
That's
thank you to my grandfather because I eat quick boil pasta all the time.
Damn. No, that's like not a small thing.
So yes, agriculture, very respected, but it was not really Bernays's cup of tea. But he did it to shut his dad up. So he got his much begrudged agriculture degree from Cornell in 1912. And then, to quote our besties over at Britannica, he abandoned farm products after a brief obligatory sally into the grain market and found work editing a medical review.
Brief obligatory sally
into the grain market. I was like, I have to quote that. I love you, Britannica.
God damn it.
We fucking love you. Britannica, call us. I don't know why. Again, we have no phone number. Like, why am I telling you? It's like when I said, Colin Hanks, call us last week. He couldn't if he wanted to, and he would not want to.
He wouldn't.
And with that,
clink it.
Quarter into the Colin Hanks jar. We have an email. Email us, Britannica.
Yeah, email us because you're writers, man. Chef's kiss.
Absolutely great shit. Yeah, now it's ruined at gmail.com. If anyone from Britannica ever hears this, please email us, even if just to let us know that you're listening. You don't have to sponsor us. It'd be great if you did, but you don't have to. We'll do it just for the pleasure of hearing from you.
That's a fantastic quote, though. Thank you for including that.
I know. A brief obligatory sally into the grain market. Yeah. And this little obligatory sally into the grain market, he spent working for the Louis Dreyfus Company. And I looked it up. And yes, Julia Louis Dreyfus is one of the agriculture Louis Dreyfuses.
Stop.
Yes.
Okay.
She's old money, darling, which is probably part of why she's so fucking hilarious in Veep when she's playing like an old money American. Like, she knows it. She knows the world.
And can laugh at it.
But also kind of blue collar, like agriculture, you know.
Yeah.
She's got her feet on the ground and a lot of old money. I love it. Love her. So Edward Bernays worked for Julia's family and then found work editing a medical review, which is how he became acquainted with a play called Damaged Goods, which was written in 1901 by Eugene Brieux. There I go, my French.
There's the French. It's coming full circle.
As you can tell from that flawless pronunciation of the name Brieux. The play was originally written and produced in French. He was a French playwright. And it was about the effect of syphilis on a marriage. So it was very controversial.
Oh.
Because it was like, we don't talk about STDs. No, thank you. Especially the fact that married people might be getting them. It was banned in Paris, actually. And I was like, if you can get banned somewhere, damn. Like,
they're doing something really, really right or really, really wrong.
Yeah.
I like that you said that like it it detailed the difficulties that syphilis caused for a marriage, and it's like, yeah, there's nothing that's gonna be great. There's nothing but difficulties in that scenario. Nothing can happen that's positive. Like no matter who has it, diagnosis. Why,
it's not
how,
gonna be good.
Nothing.
Yeah.
Just like
married
that
syphilis.
wording.
It's a rough time. You're right. Yeah, there's no highlight there. It's
No.
just gonna be, unless you got it together on a consensual experience with a third party. I mean, even then, it's not gonna be great.
Right, because you have syphilis.
Yeah, no, I mean, yeah, at the end of the day, you have syphilis. And
Someone
that's
does.
that's terrible.
Not
It's a
good.
terrible thing to have, yeah. That's not
Especially
gonna be
back in the
great.
day, because that's
Oh,
going to
yeah.
your brain.
Just like Al Capone. So this play was published in English in 1911, largely because of the efforts of Charlotte Shaw, who was the wife of famed playwright George Bernard Shaw. So she helped bring this play, Damaged Goods, to the English language, but it was still having trouble being produced because they were like, we'll print it in English, but anybody gonna mount this shit?
Right.
We'll see. So Edward Bernays read the play. He did a positive review of it in the medical review that he wrote for. Probably, I'm like, why is it in a medical review? But probably because it deals with a medical issue that no one's talking
Sure.
about. He published this positive review, which was helpful. And then he also started using some of his connections to get endorsements of the play from civic leaders. And so this is kind of a preview of one of his strategies that he uses a lot down the line. He's very big on getting like influential people to endorse whatever he's trying to sell. And this is where he first stepped into the world of public relations, and he never looked back. So this was his first taste of it. And then he was like, this is my shit.
Play about syphilis birthed.
Yes. The reason you eat bacon and eggs in the morning is all because of syphilis. So think about that too. So initially he dipped his toe in by starting work as a press agent for theater performers. So he's basically a promoter. So he is establishing relationships with journalists. So he's... I gesticulated. I'm going to take a wine break.
I gesticulated.
Gesticulate. It's a song from Kismet that my dad used to sing. I tell you what song's been in my head today. Nate and I finally watched the Minecraft movie.
Was it fun?
It was. I really liked it, actually. I recommend
Okay.
it. And I've never played... I just watched Matt play Minecraft for the first time when I was back there. No, but the movie was really cute. And there's a song that Jack Black sings in it called Lava Chicken. And it's very straightforward. It's like basically a jingle for his lava chicken business. La 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 lava, chicken. See, wait, I can tie this back. Advertising. It's a catchy jingle. It's a great way to get in people's hearts and minds, especially their brains. And now we're back to Edward Bernays.
Yes.
Okay, so during World War I, he worked for the Committee on Public Information, or the CPI, which obviously tries to sound like a nice neutral group, but was actually a government-controlled group that was meant to popularize the idea of the war.
Excellent. Yeah.
Yeah, this is where a lot of my deep ick starts really,
I'm
really
feeling it.
creeping in.
I got sweaty just now.
Yeah. So the CPI, again, Committee on Public Information. It was created by Woodrow Wilson to control all war-related news and sell the public on the war effort at home. And it was press censorship on an unprecedented level in the United States. And this is where Edward Bernays cut his teeth on propaganda. Begrudgingly, I will be getting into a little bit of World War I history here.
You know,
If you listen to the Lindbergh Baby bonus episode, you know it is not my preferred World War. But we'll see. Once World War III kicks off, we'll see where that one ranks.
yeah,
Maybe
we'll
it'll-
see. Also, I really like it when you say the Lindbergh Baby. I can't even do it. You say the Lindbergh Baby bonus episode, and you say it flawlessly and very quickly every time, and I really like it.
Lindbergh Baby buggy bumpers.
Exactly. It's very pleasing.
That should be our vocal warm-up. Lindbergh Baby bonus episode. Lindbergh Baby bonus episode.
bonus episode. Lindbergh Baby bonus episode.
There you go. Along with the pussy pop implosives. That's our new warm-up. Okay. Mic
And
check.
pip pip, you fascist fuck.
Yes, I forgot that you said that. It was so good. I was editing that episode. Oh my god. It's a pink triangle episode and it made me lose my shit. Oh, I want a shirt that says pip pip you fascist fuck so badly.
I'm having McLean make it.
Yes. Oh my god, yes, she'll be perfect. Yeah, Larkin's sister is a very talented artist and she made a sign that wound up on like a super viral image of the No Kings protests. Like it said No Kings in America and it was like Trump on a playing card as like the king.
With Elon on the bottom.
Oh, I never even noticed that.
Yeah, yeah. And it's ripped in half. It's a Trump card ripped in half. Yeah.
It's amazing.
Genius.
Is she selling them? 'Cause I
Yeah,
want
she's selling stickers and shirts.
one. Ooh, okay. We'll pop the website in the
Oh,
old
we should.
show notes. So, okay, I'm just procrastinating. So
Yeah, neither of us want to do
War I. No, it actually is pretty interesting. And I'm not going to go deep in. I'm not talking about Franz Ferdinand or any of that shit. We're not getting into all of that nitty gritty. But,
Okay.
you know, I want to give some context for this moment in time when Bernays is starting to produce propaganda. So, like World War II, the U.S. was not involved in World War I right off the bat. Germany and what was at the time Austria-Hungary started shit in Europe in 1914. They were invading places. Other European countries were standing up to them, but the U.S. maintained a stance of neutrality for a few years until they got pushed too far. Germany engaged in unrestricted submarine warfare, meaning they weren't just bombing warships and other subs. They went after passenger ships and merchant ships and basically anybody who floated by, including those from countries who were not involved in the war at all. They stopped this practice briefly after the sinking of the Lusitania, which was the event that I was going to do the bonus episode on for May. And then I got bored and I did the Lindbergh Baby episode instead. But it is interesting in this context. So the Lusitania was a passenger ship that sunk on May 7th, 1915, killing nearly 1,200 people. And among those 1,200 people were 128 Americans, one of whom was one of the Astors, like of the Astor fortune people.
Oh, dang. Okay.
Yeah. So it was a big deal. And after this happened, the U.S. got big mad and started toying with the idea of entering the war. And that was enough to scare Germany off the unrestricted sub-warfare thing. And they stopped. And the U.S. remained neutral. Which is like, if the threat of you entering the war is enough to stop something on that level, like, just get in there. So the U.S. remains neutral for about 2 more years. But Britain had established a blockade that was an attempt to starve Germany out of the war. And the Germans weren't having that. So they started building bigger U-boats to punch holes in this blockade. And by 1917, the Germans had grown their fleet from 20 U-boats to 140 and had destroyed 30% of the world's merchant ships.
30% of the world's?
Yes. The Germans destroyed 30% of the world's merchant ships. Like,
Jesus.
just goods and shit going around. They were not fucking around.
No.
And at the beginning of 1917, they officially reinstated the unrestricted submarine warfare policy. Germany did. So Woodrow Wilson finally said enough is enough, and he severed diplomatic ties with Germany in February right after that announcement, and then officially declared war on them in April of 1917. I mean, I guess it's a good line to draw.
Yeah, but that's...
But what if you just drew it 2 years earlier and 30% of the world's merchant ships weren't sunk and who knows how many people dead?
Yeah, thanks a lot.
Anyway, not that I'm like a warmonger. I think
but
we should solve things without war altogether.
That would be nice.
If you have the power to end one really early, come on, man.
And you have, like, you know, big superpower toddler baby waving a stick around and you go, hey, could have just put the stick down. All right.
Yep. Anyway, within a week of declaring war, Woodrow Wilson formed the CPI. And it was to convince the American people that this going to war thing that we've suddenly decided we're going to do is the best possible thing that we could do. So a lot of journalists of different ideologies signed on to work for the committee. They truly believed in the mission to make the world safe for democracy, which is what Wilson kept saying. And many of them, including Bernays, wound up still believing in the mission, but having mixed feelings about how it was accomplished, which is fair. So the CPI had multiple different divisions. The speaking division was in charge of writing quick, accessible speeches that would appeal to the public and succinctly explain the aims of war. The 75,000 specialists in this division were referred to as 4-minute men because they could produce great speeches 4 minutes or less. So that lasted 4 minutes or less. They wouldn't write them in 4 minutes or less.
Right.
So they could just crank out these speeches that were super quick, explained what they needed to explain, and were really compelling. They had 75,000 of them.
That's why I went, whoa, and that's like a specified, such a specific job.
Yep.
Whoa, okay.
75K of you just writing speeches. The film division produced newsreels to be shown in movie theaters, and these reels, of course, depicted the Germans as barbaric enemies of democracy and the Americans as, like, the shining heroes, naturally.
Of course.
The foreign language newspaper division kept its eye on the hundreds of non-English publications that were being published in the United States at the time. Everybody else was keeping an eye on the English press and was in control, essentially, of the English written press. But the foreign language newspapers, they had to have a special division to make sure those were doing okay. And see what was being said so that they could start putting out stories to counter whatever shit was being talked.
Wow. Covering all of the bases, yeah.
The work we're probably most familiar with to this day was produced by the Division of Pictorial Publicity. They were led by volunteer artists and illustrators, and they were in charge of posters and images. And the most famous one is probably the image of Uncle Sam pointing at the viewer and saying, "I want you for the U.S. Army."
That's where... Okay.
Yeah, it's from the CPI. It was created by James Montgomery Flagg, who was an artist, and to save money on a model, he used his own face. So the face of Uncle Sam in that image is James Montgomery Flagg, the artist himself. And this image was reproduced millions of times during the First World War and was revived again during World War II, and we still see it around today at like army recruitment stations. So
yeah,
iconic.
that one is gonna remain. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Other images produced by this division were of Germans as barbaric figures with blood dripping off bayonets or maybe out of their mouths. They were being referred to as Huns. One ad concluded with the line, "Such a civilization is not fit to live." So we're going hard on it.
Yeesh.
Very dehumanizing, classic propaganda shit.
Yeah, and then we see it, the script flipped. It'll get the job done, though.
It sure will. So finally, the CPI also had a news division, which was the primary source of information on the war for journalists. So they are interacting directly with the journalists and giving them all the information that they're getting from the war. And one strategy that this division employed was to bury journalists in information. And they pumped out multiple press releases per day to keep journalists scrambling while simultaneously restricting their access to people who were actually on the ground and like involved with the war. So they were restricting their access to speaking to generals or other military officials. And they were just getting all of their information from this division. And they were just getting a ton of it. So keep the journalists busy and scattered. And a strategy we are seeing again today. So they also issued a set of guidelines to be followed if you wanted to be patriotic about your war reporting, which of course meant that papers that didn't follow those guidelines were branded as unpatriotic. If you don't call it the Gulf of America, we're going to kick you out of the newsroom, right?
Don't dead name her.
That's right. The news division also did something that we tend to associate more with countries like Russia or China that have a huge interest in controlling their press completely. They started a government-run newspaper called the Official Bulletin. And I found a website that has published copies of every volume. I did not read every volume, but I did look at the first few. And on the very first one, which was published May 16th, 1917, the top of the page reads, "Your first patriotic duty, buy a Liberty Bond." And then the first article is about a committee formed to help women sell war bonds. So
That's the news.
That's the news on the cover
news.
of the official bulletin. Back to Bernays. I was not able to figure out specifically which division of the CPI he worked for, but his work there influenced his entire future career. This quote I did find on Wikipedia, and I tried to verify it elsewhere, but I couldn't actually get access to the book that it's from. But I will say that the book is by Scott Cutlip, and it is called The Unseen Power, Public Relations, A History. So grain of salt, but allegedly this quote is from a book. So allegedly Bernays said, "There was one basic lesson I learned from the CPI, that efforts comparable to those applied by the CPI to affect the attitudes of the enemy, of neutrals, and of people of this country could be applied with equal facility to peacetime pursuits. In other words, what could be done for a nation at war could be done for organizations and people in a nation at peace." So he's like, all this appealing to emotion we use in propaganda during wartime, why don't we just do that all the time to sell shit? Why are we selling to people's logic?
A villain is born.
Yeah, pretty much. So after the war, Bernays set himself up in New York under a title he invented, Public Relations Counsel. He started a PR firm with Doris Fleischman, who he would later marry. She was a feminist and a writer, and one of their daughters, Anne Bernays, actually became a noted author as well, just FYI.
Not where I thought that would be going.
Bernays also dipped his toe into the writing world. As I mentioned, he published several books, most notably for Our Purposes. He wrote Propaganda, which was published in 1928, and I did have a little look through. I did not read it cover to cover because I didn't have the time, but I perused. He has this PR firm now, and one of his early PR clients was, I feel like I said clients. Taking another wine break. One of his PR clients.
His client.
So one of Bernays' early PR clients was George Washington Hill, president of none other than the American Tobacco Company.
Oh, great.
Yeah. And Hill was a Nepo baby. His father was the vice president of the American Tobacco Company, and Hill left college before graduation to work with him there. He was put in charge of selling the British cigarette Pall Mall after American Tobacco acquired them. And to his credit, he did this very successfully. He made Pall Malls the most popular of the Turkish tobaccos. Pall Mall doesn't really advertise the Turkish tobacco thing anymore, but it was a big campaign for them in the 20s. It was like a selling point. I don't know. I think it's supposed to be smoother or something. Maybe you have insight.
They taste like trash. That's my insight.
That was kind of the impression I got, but I smoke like one cigarette a year, and it's when you're around usually.
Yeah, that tracks.
So in 1911, the American Tobacco Company faced this huge antitrust lawsuit, and they got broken up into 4 large competing firms. So they were so huge, they got broken up into 4 firms, and it was still, each of them was huge. Hill's father became the president of the new American Tobacco, and Hill became sales manager. And 5 years later, American Tobacco introduced Lucky Strike cigarettes, and Hill made them his pet project. Again, he was very successful at this. In 1926, a year after he took over American Tobacco from his father, Lucky Strikes accounted for 1/5 of U.S. cigarette sales, an entire 1/5 of the market.
I mean, Lucky Strike is one of the most iconic. You think World War I and World War II, you think Lucky Strike, at least for me.
Yep.
Like, my dad has the story of, because his dad smoked Lucky Strikes. He was in the war. And
oh, wow.
He quit because of health reasons. But my dad remembers being in a bar with him, and he looked over at my dad, and my dad was just smoking a Marlboro. Why can't I say it? Marlboro. He was smoking a Marlboro cigarette. Jesus Christ. And his dad said, Snaz, we call him Snaz. He said, give me one of those. And my dad just hands it to him, and he just rips the filter off and smokes it that way. Because
nice.
Lucky Strikes are filterless. And that's just like iconic. Anyway.
That is iconic. Yeah, they are. They're a big icon of this time period. And I feel like you think about like Band of Brothers, like, did they mention Lucky Strikes at some point? I feel like there's something in there.
And I've smoked them when I was in Europe because I couldn't get my cigarettes. And
they're still around.
Yeah, they're and thriving in Europe.
Really?
Yeah. They're harsh. They are hard. They're really, really harsh. I came back sounding like an 80-year-old woman.
So Lucky Strikes are already very popular. He did a good job. They got 1/5 of the market, but he's like, I want more. And he spotted a huge gap in the marketing for the cigarettes. Women. So women were definitely smoking in the 20s, but doing so publicly was a sign that you were a big old slut. And was also illegal in New York City for a time. So good girls smoked in private.
Right.
Only the flappers and the big old slut bags are smoking outside.
Big old whores.
All the whores.
Smoking in the street.
This really obviously cuts in half, probably roughly, the amount of time that you can spend smoking. Because if you're only smoking inside and you can't smoke outside when you're waiting in a line or in public, in restaurants, whatever, that's a lot of time that you're not able to smoke.
Unacceptable, really.
Unacceptable.
So much time wasted.
So Hill hired Bernays to market cigarettes to women. And Bernays had previously run a successful marketing campaign for a competing cigarette company. And that's when Hill was like, I want that guy. So he brings him on to market cigarettes to women and change public perception of women's smoking. And Bernays at this point had realized the importance of psychology in advertising. He'd read his uncle Sigmund Freud's works, as well as those written by others in the field. So he consulted one of Freud's pupils, psychoanalyst A.A. Brill, about how to motivate women to smoke in public. Brill was Freud's first English translator, and he's one of the major reasons that Freud's teachings on psychoanalysis reached the United States at all, let alone got as big as they did. So he was highly influential on the practice of psychiatry in the United States, and he particularly spread the popularity of psychoanalysis. And for those who don't know, psychoanalysis is a specific type of psychiatric treatment that focuses on digging into your like unconscious thoughts and desires and motivations and all of that stuff. It was primarily developed by Freud and is probably what most people think of when they think of psychiatry. You're like sitting on a couch and someone's like, tell me about your mother or your dreams or whatever it is. That's psychoanalysis.
That's it.
It's classic Freud shit. Do you think of penises when you see a cigar? That kind of stuff. So obviously, understanding people's motivations and desires is a great way to manipulate them into buying something, whether that something is an idea or a product. And figuring out why someone will want something is key. And the element of the unconscious mind is essential in advertising as well, because if people know they're being manipulated, it's less effective. It's like when you see a movie that's just so over the top and you're like, I know you want me to cry, so go fuck yourself. I'm not
Exactly.
crying.
Yeah. I'm not going to.
Yeah.
I know where you're going. You're trying to lead me. You're trying to take me there. I'm
You're
not going to
insisting
go.
on yourself. So you have to find the thing in people's brains that their brains will hook onto without giving away that that's what you're trying to do. And this is obviously really hard in advertising because when you see an advertisement, you know that the goal is to get you to buy something. Like
Right.
you already are going in skeptical, basically. But there are highly effective ways around that, most of which we know about because of Bernays. Bernays consulted Brill about how to get women to smoke in public. This is the 1920s. The decade kicked off with the passage of the 19th Amendment, which ostensibly gave women the right to vote. Of course, Black women and other women of color still had to fight because many states were passing these hugely restrictive laws that limited their right to vote, particularly in the South. But the general perception was that women were more inclined to like embrace their power at this point. With that in mind, Brill advised Bernays that cigarettes are generally associated with men and therefore represented empowerment that women of the time were hoping to achieve. And he suggested that cigarettes were torches of freedom for women.
My God.
And Bernays knew a good idea when he heard it. And
Oh
a
my
catchy
God.
tagline. In 1929, American Tobacco launched the Torches of Freedom campaign.
Get 'em,
And-
girls.
Get 'em, gals. It advertised cigarettes as a symbol of power and rebellion for women. Bernays encouraged a group of women to march in the Easter parade in New York City, smoking their torches of freedom the whole way. And through contacts at Vogue, he reached out to a group of stylish debutantes to participate in this parade. And obviously, it got a lot of press coverage. And more marches started happening in cities throughout the U.S., and the taboo began to drop. Though actually, the level of influence that this particular campaign had on women smoking is somewhat questionable. Like, I read a couple of places that Bernays himself might have inflated, like, how impactful this particular part of the campaign was.
Sure.
But regardless, smoking did increase among women. In 1924, about 5% of cigarette sales were to women, and by 1929, it increased to 12%, so that's more than double.
Something worked.
Yeah, exactly. And if you can smoke outside as well as inside and in public and all of that stuff, you can smoke more cigarettes and encourage more people to smoke them too.
It's the ad that keeps adding.
Exactly. And it is a big thing of like, he knew he just had to get women out there smoking because they would spread it to each other. And that's his big like strategy a lot of the time. He doesn't want to have to sell something to you. He's going to let other people sell it to you maybe a little bit at first and then let you sell it to yourself.
It's genius. Insidiously evil genius.
Yeah, it's like lets the public sell to each other a lot. So there were other elements to the campaign, though, that might have even been more effective. In addition to the allegedly feminist Torches of Freedom portion, there were some distinctly unfeminist campaigns, such as Reach for a Lucky instead of a Sweet.
Uh-huh.
As I'm sure you can guess, this was focused on getting women to smoke based on the slimming effects of cigarettes, and it encouraged women to smoke after dinner rather than eating dessert. So instead of having that piece of cake, just strike up a lucky cigarette. Because if you're, we're all fat and we should hate ourselves. But if you get lung cancer, you'll sure slim down fast.
You'll literally be nothing.
Literally encouraging women to smoke rather than eat something slightly fattening.
Because of course.
Oh my God, and but of course. So Bernays also advertised Lucky Strikes as just generally being fashionable. This one fucks me up. And it's weird because it's like seemingly kind of innocuous, but I think you're going to get why. In the 30s, reports came in that women weren't buying Luckies because the packaging was green, and green just was not in at all at the time. It actually clashed with most of the current fashion trends.
Huh.
And so Bernays' first move was like, we got to change the color of this packaging, man. And Hill was like, I spent millions of dollars on those packages. We're not changing the color. And he was like, fuck, okay, great. Because that would have been the easiest thing to do, right? We just find out what the most popular color is right now, and boom, now all of our cigarettes are pink or whatever it is. So Bernays pivoted and decided that if he couldn't get Lucky Strikes packaged in a more fashionable color, he would just have to make green a more fashionable color. In 1934, he used his connections in the world of art, society, and fashion to spread green as the color of the year. He even threw a green ball, which was an event that was allegedly for charity, but in actuality was just to get everyone in attendance who were like high society types to wear green and bring it more into fashion. He had a textile manufacturer sponsor a green fashions fall luncheon. And at this luncheon, he had an art historian and, of course, a psychologist talk about how significant green is as a color. He also organized a whole trend bureau to flood the press with information about how in green was. Like, talk about pulling strings in a way that nobody would suspect. Like, this is insane.
Dude, you're right. Up the spine, like, who?
What right now do I like that I was manipulated into?
Yes, that's where it goes. And because it can be that innocuous. Where did it start? Where did this start? And it's some white dude who's just
trying to sell more Lucky Strikes.
Like evil Mr. Burns twiddling his fingers like, yes, women will like green now.
I know, like, I'm just like, oh my God, like, what unknown evil am I supporting with the stuff that I am being convinced I want? Because if this happened these days, it would be like, all these hot celebrities wear green. Like, Zendaya is suddenly wearing green all the time. And I would be like, ooh, that's gorgeous. I want that green. And then it would be like attributed to her, as it was, I'm sure, attributed to all of these like debutantes and society people. But it's like, no. Like, why is she wearing the green? Is it because someone paid her a lot of money to wear specifically green, or because the fashion person she went to was paid off to say, well, green is what's in this year. Let me make you a green gown, and like convince her to wear green? Like, that's the level of shit that's happening. And then who's paying that fashion? You know, like,
yeah.
And why?
How deep does it? Oh, we're going to get stuck in conspiracy land.
Oh, I know. When I was researching this, I was like, I 100% understand conspiracy theorists, because this
like,
shit
I get it.
is so insidious and it's so simple in a way. But it's
Yeah,
like,
that's
who would
the
have
evil.
thought on that scale to be like, well, I'll just make green in fashion then.
Yeah. And like, that's the evil genius. That's why these evil people are so successful, because they're just like, it occurs to them, right? It doesn't occur to normal
And they have the
people.
money to do it.
And they have the money, and they have the wherewithal, and
Or they know how to get the money to do
greed.
it. Yeah.
and the inhuman nature of just looking at other human beings as like numbers.
This kind of string pulling and manipulation on like levels that people aren't going to be aware of and aren't going to see, like, really freaks me out. And in a world where like now there's AI and deep fakes, like,
And people believe it.
yeah. Oh, Jamila Jamil posted a while back about how she saw a deep fake porn of herself, and it was like the most disturbing thing she'd ever seen in her life. 'Cause she
Yeah.
was like, I was doing things I know I had never done, and it looked
But
like
it
me.
looked real. I don't like thinking about it.
All right, well, let's keep going.
Yes, please.
Now, of course, as we know, smoking is not good for you. It increases your chance of certain cancers. It can have other health effects like gum disease, and is the main cause of preventable illness and death in the United States. In regards to women and smoking, it significantly increases your chance of a heart attack. It can make your period more painful, and studies have found that women are twice as likely to develop lung cancer from smoking as men are. So you are at a higher risk for cancer. Larkin,
It's
I
not
say all
good,
this.
guys. It's not good,
Larkin's a
guys.
smoker. She's trying to quit. She's been cutting back a lot.
Yeah, I'm doing good. And
Yeah.
this helps.
Yeah, exactly. Be like, this man wants me to smoke these cigarettes.
My freedom torch.
Yeah, your
That alone is
torch of
enough to
freedom.
get me
There we go. Maybe we ruin cigarettes for people too. I hope so. Of course, a lot of what we know about these dangers of smoking, we learned in more present day times. It wasn't as widely known at this time, but Bernays may have had an inkling. And this is a tidbit I couldn't verify other than on Wikipedia again. But if it's true, it kind of like implies that he knew that smoking was not good for you, because allegedly he discouraged his wife from smoking and like broke her cigarettes apart when he found them and shit. And I'm like, if he was working within the tobacco industry, he's going to be privy to information about studies and like health shit that the public isn't going to know. And they're going to tell him that to be like, if this gets out, what do we do?
Of course. And he doesn't want his wife to die.
When I said earlier, like, I feel like he had lines in his personal life, but he just didn't care when he was at work. That's one of the reasons that I feel that he's like, well, I'm not going to let my wife die, but like all these other ladies can get all the cancer they want.
Oh, totally. Completely. I can see that easily. So I just believe it even without irrefutable proof. I'm like, oh, he knew.
I definitely get some psychopath vibes.
No, yeah.
From old Bernays.
Isn't Bernays a sauce? That's been all I've been able to
there
think
is
this
a
entire
Bernays
time.
sauce. Wait, what? I think it's spelled differently. It's French.
It's French.
But it's spelled like Bernays, like the animal bear, and then AISE. His name is BERNAYS. Yeah, it's like a white wine sauce. Okay, so let's get to the main event here. Bacon and eggs. So his bacon and eggs campaign was maybe less overtly shitty than pushing cigarettes on women, but the method of manipulation he used laid the groundwork for other much more sinister products to be pushed to the American public later on. In the early 19th century, Americans weren't eating big breakfasts. We just weren't. Most folks were sipping coffee, eating a roll, maybe drinking some juice, but basically it was just farmers that were like eating heartier meals, probably because they had more access to stuff. The rest of us were in the cities, and suddenly it was like industrial revolution. We're all in factories now. We got to carry our shit in pails. We got to get out the door in the morning, all of that. Bacon was generally considered more of a dinner food, and there are so many options for dinner food. This is my own theory. So many options for dinner food, like it's not necessarily your go-to choice there either, right? So like bacon sales were not good. Enter the Beech Nut Packing Company. Bacon was one of their products, and it was not moving at the rate that they wanted it to, so they contacted Bernays to see if he could do anything about it. It's still unclear to me how he concluded that breakfast was the meal to go for, but it might have had something to do with what I just said. There are all these options for dinner. There's a gap in breakfast. Let's stick bacon in that gap. Why not?
Let's fill the bacon hole.
Or because he just had this idea of how to sell it right off the bat. Honestly, it's brilliant. It's terrifying, but it's brilliant. He reached out to a, quote, famous New York doctor and asked him if he thought a more hearty breakfast would be better for people. And the doctor said, yes, actually, the body loses a lot of calories when you sleep, and so a heartier meal in the morning can help you replace those, give you more energy for your day. This is, of course, exactly what Bernays wanted to hear, and I have some questions about who this doctor was and how much she was paid. But, palms being greased, how Bernays knew him, questions exist. But Bernays asked this doctor to write a letter that would be sent to 5,000 other physicians asking if they agreed with this concept that the body loses a lot of calories when we sleep and a hearty breakfast would help combat that loss. And the doctor said, sure, I'll write that letter. It's almost more freaky, actually, really, if he doesn't know him and, like, isn't getting paid a shit ton of money. If he just genuinely is like, oh, yeah, that's the most innocent thing I could do. I'll absolutely, like, write a letter to other doctors, seeing if they agree that hearty breakfast is good for you, like, whatever. He writes this letter, and they got responses from 4,500 of those physicians that said, yeah, that makes sense. Heartier breakfast would probably be better for you. And then, rather than run an ad campaign pushing bacon and eggs, which he could have done, Bernays sent the information to newspapers throughout the country that thousands of physicians recommended a heartier breakfast for the health of the American people, and he threw in that bacon and eggs was the perfect meal to fill that gap.
Jesus Christ. Dude.
Yep. And newspapers throughout the country ran with the story. Headlines everywhere exclaimed that 4,500 doctors say you should eat a heartier breakfast for your health. And then those articles included the recommendation of bacon and eggs. If you're looking for an easy meal that'll be heartier for you, bacon and eggs, it's easy. Go do that.
That is genius.
Mm-hmm.
And so freaky. I hate it. You're right. It's like sleeper agent shit. Like,
yes.
Ugh.
It's terrifying.
And that we encounter that kind of shit all the constant.
Oh yeah, his playbook is used all the time now.
Of course
he fucking invented it. Like, yeah. So he didn't have to, the other brilliant thing of this is he didn't have to pay to take out ads. Like, it's a money saver, right?
Yeah.
Compared to advertising in like a major New York newspaper even.
You don't even have to do that much work because the legwork is there.
You just get the doctor to write the letter and then you let people spread it amongst themselves. He just had doctors and newspapers just tell people that this was good for their health. And it obviously worked because despite the fact that we now know that bacon is not that great for you to consume every morning, we still treat it as a breakfast staple. It's still
because when you said like it was mostly a dinner option, my immediate, and I don't even eat goddamn bacon, was like, that's not correct. That's not a dinner food.
But why not? It's a salty ass meat. Like,
it's this very salty, heavy. That's not. I mean, yeah. If you are a farmer, in fact, starting
if you're about to push a plow,
bacon, probably okay.
And bale a bunch of hay.
One thing, and bacon used to be really, really thick cuts and stuff.
Oh yeah, it's huge.
Yeah, like maybe one of those and an egg. You are good for the day, girl. But like, if you're like you said, you're just walking to the office. Cholesterol. You heard of her? I don't know why it's a she.
Women are blamed for enough. We don't need to make cholesterol a she.
This is a big kind of roly-poly guy, and he trundles.
The bad cholesterol. There's good cholesterol.
There is good. Yeah.
Women can be the good cholesterol.
Yeah.
Or we could just not gender shit, because...
Social construct, as well as bacon and eggs for breakfast.
As is bacon and eggs. That's right. Gender is a social construct, just like bacon and eggs. So, as I said, this is far from the only example of doctors being used to push products, but years down the line... One prominent business took the manipulation of and by the medical profession to a whole new level, leading to a massive rise in deaths related particularly to prescription drugs. This business caused a crisis that killed about 500,000 people in 2 decades. I'm speaking, of course, about Purdue Pharma and their horrific campaign to popularize the use of their highly addictive signature drug, OxyContin.
Oh, fuck.
So I want to set this section up with... this quote from Propaganda, in which Bernays wrote, quote, "Pure science was once guarded and fostered by learned societies and scientific associations. Now pure science finds support and encouragement also in industry. Many of the laboratories in which abstract research is being pursued are now connected with some large corporation, which is quite willing to devote hundreds of thousands of dollars to scientific study for the sake of one golden invention or discovery which may emerge from it. Big business, of course, gains heavily when the invention emerges, but at that very moment, it assumes the responsibility of placing the new invention at the service of the public. It assumes also the responsibility of interpreting its meaning to the public. Propaganda, by repeatedly interpreting new scientific ideas and inventions to the public, has made the public more receptive." End quote.
I have goosebumps.
I'm just going to leave that to hang there as I talk about the following things. The Sackler family, the owners of Purdue Pharma, went hard on the heavy gains and soft on the responsibility portion of that philosophy. Arthur Sackler is something of a legend. He was a prominent philanthropist in New York City and importantly was not one of the family members who founded Purdue Pharma in its current form. After all the controversy came out about the opioid crisis in Purdue, his wife wrote an article defending him, but he was the older brother of the 2 Sacklers who did start Purdue in its current form, Mortimer and Raymond. And he was also a psychiatrist and pharmaceutical advertising professional who used techniques that Purdue iterated on to sell OxyContin. So despite those who try to separate him from his brothers and the rest of the family, it's really hard for me to believe that there was a hard line between him and the others, like his wife claims. Like, he taught them his ways. Like,
no, man.
It
yeah.
just seems very obvious to me.
Buying that.
Yeah. But I want to be fair and put it out there that he died before Purdue reconnoitered, and was owned by Mortimer and Raymond, and also long before Oxy hit the market. He was dead. But before that, he was born in New York City in 1913, and he grew up during a time when Bernays was heavily influential in New York and in advertising. And by the time Arthur started his advertising career in the 1940s, Bernays had published multiple books, and his strategies were being used by advertisers and propagandists the world over, including, as I hinted at before, the Nazis, which I will say more about later. Arthur Sackler had already earned an MD and was in the process of earning his psychiatry degree when he joined the medical advertising agency William Douglas McAdams in 1942. And he had worked in the pharmaceutical industry in the 30s, so he had unique insight on how to market pharmaceuticals. Pharmaceutical companies didn't have big marketing budgets at the time. It wasn't really their thing. They were like, what are we going to do? Like, go sell our drug with the long, complicated name to the public? Like, yeah. Like,
Right.
we just have doctors prescribe us and we're good. But tons of new drugs were hitting the markets with various benefits, and Arthur Sackler thought it was a waste not to capitalize on that.
Of course.
So when McAdams was hired by Pfizer, Sackler engineered a huge marketing campaign revolutionizing the pharmaceutical marketing industry. And then he repeated this success with products like Valium, aka diazepam, which he marketed directly to doctors. And to market to those doctors, he used a strategy that Purdue later took to a whole nother level in the marketing of OxyContin. He employed an army of sales representatives to go out and convince doctors to prescribe more Valium by telling them it had minimal side effects, wasn't terribly addictive, and could cure a number of different problems. Like, this is just famously what Purdue did with Oxy. Like,
Yep.
boom, boom, boom,
Boom.
playbook, beginning
Word
to
for
end.
word. I'm getting stressed.
Maybe they never got any advice from Arthur whatsoever, and they just saw him and copied him. But come on.
Sure, devil's advocate. You are good.
Yeah. Valium is addictive, by the way, though to my understanding, not to the same extreme anywhere near as Oxy or other drugs.
Yeah,
It's a benzo, not an opioid, but
Yep.
FYI, it does have addictive properties. Whether or not we think Arthur is to blame for anything his other family members did, they sure did take his methods and run with them. Arthur Sackler, in 1998, was shouted out by the Medical Advertising Hall of Fame, which wrote, quote, "No single individual did more to shape the character of medical advertising than the multi-talented Dr. Arthur Sackler. His seminal contribution was bringing the full power of advertising and promotion to pharmaceutical marketing."
And I hope he's rotting in hell.
So Purdue introduced OxyContin in 1996. OxyContin is the name they came up with for their slow-release version of oxycodone. Oxy is for oxycodone, Contin for continuous release, which allows it to operate for up to 12 hours, making it the longest-lasting oxycodone on the market. Oxycodone is a highly addictive opioid, as many opioids are. Other examples include heroin and morphine, just casual, easy to kick. It is an effective painkiller, but its effectiveness eases off with time as your body develops a tolerance to it. And most drugs that contain oxycodone contain small amounts of it. Percocet, for example, contains 5 milligrams. Other drugs like Percodan Demi contain just 2.5. When OxyContin first came out, it had tablets containing 10, 20, 40, and 80 milligram doses. And in July of 2000, they introduced a 160 milligram pill. Larkin's just chewing her cheeks, real big mad right now.
I'm so big because I've done yep. So much research.
So Purdue marketed the drug aggressively, particularly to doctors. They used basically all the same narratives that Arthur did when he was selling Valium. They said it wasn't super addictive, it was great for treating all sorts of pain, etc. And they knew for a fact that the low likelihood of addiction portion was untrue. Richard Sackler, who was Raymond Sackler's son, if you recall, Raymond was one of the two brothers with Mortimer who founded the new version of Purdue Pharma. Richard is a well-educated doctor who was originally in charge of research and development of OxyContin. And emails found between Richard and Purdue executives revealed that they were aware of a common misconception among American doctors that oxycodone was weaker than morphine. And that's not true. Oxycodone is stronger than morphine, and Richard Sackler and Purdue knew it. And in these emails, they wonder at the fact that doctors carried this misconception and decide amongst themselves not to correct it. Instead, they were going to prey on it. After OxyContin was released, it was almost immediately apparent that it was highly addictive. Abuse was already rampant in 1997, but Purdue did not care. They continued to claim it was safer and less addictive than other drugs on the market. They kept pushing it on doctors with, you guessed it, a massive army of sales reps. Those representatives met with doctors and said that they knew the medical profession has been nervous about prescribing too much Oxy, and as a result, you're actually prescribing too little. Doctors are shy for no reason, they said, and not only is Oxy amazing for cancer and palliative care, it can treat all sorts of pain, back pain, sports injuries, you name it, just prescribe it for more stuff.
And Americans were and are in pain, especially the working class.
Yes. And we also have a system where patients can ask their doctors for a certain drug that's in vogue and they'll get it.
Yep.
Which is not the system everywhere. Like in other places, it would be unheard of for someone to just demand what they should be prescribed from their doctor. The doctor would be like, go fuck yourself. I'm the one with the medical degree and I will give you what I see fit.
Yeah.
But here it's like, because healthcare is also capitalist, doctors are motivated to retain patients, and so they're motivated to give patients what they ask for and what they want. Mm-hmm. Yippee skippy. And so doctors bought it, and then doctors sold it. Purdue paid doctors shit tons of money to promote OxyContin. They sent them sexy sales reps to refresh their supplies, gave them fun swag like plushy pills and fishing hats. They encouraged them to prescribe more and more and more. They had the doctors speak at big booze-soaked conferences and essentially gave them paid vacations to be there. They provided massive incentives to doctors who overprescribed. When tales of addiction started to seep out, they blamed users for being trash people who were abusers, and they were prone to addiction anyway, and they'll abuse whatever you give them. And when people's tolerance started to increase and Oxy started to wear off in less than 12 hours, Purdue reps were told to push doctors into prescribing higher doses while keeping patients on the same 12-hour cycle, thus the 160 milligram pill. In 1996, sales of OxyContin generated $48 million. In the year 2000, just 1 year after Richard Sackler became president of Purdue Pharma, sales were up to nearly $1.1 billion.
God.
Even after stories broke about the addictiveness of abuse of OxyContin, the Sackler family doubled down and kept promoting the hell out of it. For years and years, they continued to deny any wrongdoing or responsibility for the opioid crisis. But semi-breaking news, which I didn't know about until I did research for this, about a month ago, they settled a lawsuit with various states for $7.4 billion. They acknowledged their role in contributing to the opioid crisis, and the settlement ends the Sackler family's ownership of Purdue Pharma and their ability to sell opioids in the United States.
Oh, what?
Yep, that
I
happened
didn't
in
know
June.
that.
I didn't
Oh,
either.
hell yeah.
I'm like, how did I not hear about this?
How did I not?
Because
I
got
thought
so
I
much
had-
other shit going on.
That's true. That's why. That
And
is
this
why.
is what happens when you put out 10 press releases a day and the journalists can't keep up. But
Can't.
yeah.
Well, I mean, at least there's something nice.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to stay rich as fuck because that
They
money's
are.
going to come out of the company and not out of any of their pockets, which are huge.
Right.
But so that was an extremely brief overview of the Purdue Pharma situation.
But well
this
done.
isn't-
I think
Thank you.
You've nailed
Thanks. Yeah, it's not the Purdue Pharma episode; it's the Edward Bernays episode.
Right.
So, although he obviously wasn't directly involved in this, like his techniques that he pioneered, particularly using medical professionals to promote things, and like as salespeople to sell bacon,
right.
Sure as shit inspired these methods that Arthur Sackler used and then that Purdue used. Because I mean, he was in advertising at a time that Bernays was absolutely massive, so there's no way. Because Bernays was pervasive in advertising, like, from the 20s until, like, he died, in which he was old. It was the 90s. So...
Jeez. And like the beautiful tropical fish lawyer that you are, you laid it out in a... You can see clear... I mean, like, the path from Valium... Like, when you listed that, I was like, what? Like... That's exactly, it's like the playbook.
I just have a few other things to touch on. I'm going to be quick about the rest of them. I maybe should have made this a 2-part episode, but whatever. Okay. Let's take a little bricky break into something slightly lighter with the hairnets, since I mentioned them.
Oh, yeah.
So prior to World War I, hairnets were popular among women as a fashion accessory. You might know the snood, which is the hairnet relative, which is kind of like the thick bag that you dump all your back of your hair into and then you pin it. It was a popular fashion accessory. But then the bob came into style and women didn't need hairnets and snoods anymore because their hair was short. So hair product manufacturers were in a tizzy. And
upset.
Venida Hairnets hired Bernays to make hairnets popular again. So he started publicizing the dangers of women having loose hair around machines in factories.
Oh.
And he sowed the idea that it was unsanitary to not wear them around food in restaurants. He just planted that idea. I don't even know if he did any studies to prove that it's true. Again, he did this through having experts testify to all of these dangers, and it caused so many alarm bells that to this day, many jobs in the food industry require the use of hairnets.
Bernays!
Every time we buy anything, we just have to curse his name. Okay, let's talk bananas and military coups. Again, I'm going to be very brief here because I want to do a full episode on this, actually,
Yes.
and I don't want to spoil everything. But it does add to the ruin, so I didn't want to leave it out. So there used to be this big-ass fruit company called United Fruit, and they owned Chiquita and all of these other companies. Bananas were a big business for them, And United Fruit was a really shitty company in a lot of ways, including being super racist with their staff. But that didn't stop them from manipulating people into buying a whole lot of bananas. It was a big industry for them. Now, some of those bananas came from plantations in Guatemala. And in 1951, Guatemala got a new president, Jacobo Arbenz. I hope. Jacobo. And his main aim was to reduce poverty in Guatemala. And one of the problems that they had was a shortage of land, partially because United Fruit had invaded and taken over a shit ton of land in Guatemala for their banana plantations. So Arbenz decided that they should take some of that land back and give it to the people, and created agrarian reform in order to do this. Good guy. Good for him.
Yeah.
That is not the opinion of the United Fruit Company. That pissed them off. They were mad. They were big mad at Arbenz. And so they hired Bernays to lead a propaganda campaign against Arbenz, painting him as a communist dictator. And it worked. In 1953, the New York Times ran an article saying that Arbenz was ruling with an iron fist and kicking American companies out of Guatemala because he hated capitalism and he was a big old communist. And Bernays' campaign made it seem like he was under Soviet influence, which was why he was so anti-US. And this is right in the middle of the Cold War. So
Fuck's sake.
That was a big deal. And eventually, United Fruit, backed by the idea that Bernays had made popular, that Arbenz was a big old threatening communist, got the CIA to install a Honduran militia in Guatemala to start a war and overthrow Arbenz. Arbenz, fearful for his life and sensing a literal losing battle, resigned, but the CIA still paid the Guatemalan military to act like the Hondurans had won, and a Honduran leader was appointed as president of the country, serving as a puppet for United Fruit.
I quit. There's just too much to even say. And I know.
Say it anyway. It's a podcast. That's your whole job.
Oh yeah. We've had conversations where she's reminded me of this. She's like, say the things. God damn it. This is our job.
Otherwise, it's just me talking.
Oh my God. Okay. You have more. Okay.
Just a little bit.
Okay.
Just a little bit more.
Just go.
Okay. At the end, we'll get the thoughts.
Yeah.
All right. Last but not least, we're going to talk about our old friends, the Nazis. We don't actually like Nazis. I'm just saying that because we have to talk about them a lot, just in case anyone misinterpreted that. Perpetual guest stars, maybe better way to put it.
Perpetual guest bothers.
Perpetual guest botherers, the Nazis.
Yeah.
Joseph Goebbels. What the fuck is his name? Goebbels.
Who?
The chief propagandist for the Nazi party. Goebbels.
I guess I've never said it out loud.
Hold on, I'm going to look it up on my phone so I can hear it out loud. Goebbels. Yeah, I'm never going to say it right, regardless.
Have the lady say it.
Goebbels.
Okay. Fucking gerbil guy.
I knew it was something weird. Gerbil, Mr. Gerbil.
Mr. Gerbil.
Joseph Goebbels. Go balls. Gerbil balls.
Joseph Gobbles balls.
I've heard his name. Yes. Joseph Gobbles balls. Yep. That is his name now.
Forever.
You all know who we're talking about. It's Joseph Gobbles balls. The head propagandist for the Nazi party.
Don't tell me you don't know.
Don't tell me you've never heard of Joseph Goebbels balls. Joseph Goebbels balls, chief propagandist for the Nazi party, first came across Bernays' writings in the 1920s, and he really took them to heart. He consumed Bernays' books, and during his time working for the Third Reich, Goebbels balls exploited Bernays' techniques to the fullest extent. I'm not laughing at his exploitation of propagandist techniques to further the Third Reich's actions. Anyway, he exploited his techniques to the most extreme extent. He demonized the Jewish people. He created this cult around Adolf Hitler known as the cult of the Fuhrer. The fucked upness of this is increased by the fact that Bernays was Jewish. And when he learned that the Third Reich was using his techniques against people in Europe, he was shocked and he was very unhappy about it. At least as unhappy as he kind of gets about anything that results from his actions. In his autobiography, which was published in 1965, he wrote, "They were using my books as the basis for a destructive campaign against the Jews of Germany. This shocked me, but I knew any human activity can be used for social purposes or misused for antisocial ones." So he's like, I was surprised, but also it's going to happen.
This fucking guy is evil. Yeah.
It's just not the level of horror that you want.
No.
Like, you're like...
Tepid response.
Yeah, like that was my reaction to it too. I'm glad you had that same reaction because I was just like, maybe a little more horror there at like your techniques being used to commit genocide there, bud.
It feels very boys will be boys.
Yeah, that is the energy. Just
I mean,
well,
I put it out there, but I mean, whoever, it's not my fault, whoever uses it.
right, like people who are like, well, I'm not responsible for what anyone does with like the things that I say on TV. And you're like, kind of, but like also
But
that there might be
also-
some people who, and especially in this case where you're like, you are selling manipulation and literal propaganda, which has already been used to commit war atrocities at this point in history. So come on.
But I didn't do. Yeah. Ugh. Okay. This guy fucking sucks.
Yeah, it's just like, it is what it is. Like, people are going to use it what they use it for. So business is business, like even if it involves influencing the Nazis or overthrowing a person who just wanted to do right by his country and, destabilizing an entire nation. That's business is business. He did write us a lot of books that I recommend people read because it is a really good insight into how you are manipulated by advertising and by people in power. And so it will give you insight and maybe you can defend against it a little bit more.
That's a great point. Like, let's be as knowledgeable about these dark things. Let's just know them so that they can't be used as tools against us.
Yeah, and you can find propaganda online for free on Google Books like I did. So
I'm going to go read it.
You don't even have to give money to whatever. I don't know. Obviously, he's not alive anymore. He died at the age of 103 in 1995.
Ew.
Lived a long old life. And yeah, apart from inspiring the Nazis, he just never really seemed that bothered by anything that he had influenced or done. There's a video of him talking about the bacon and eggs thing and like in a way that's very like self-aggrandizing and yet like trying to pass it off like, oh, well, it wasn't a big deal. He's a vibe and he's old. He's very old when in it. I'll link to it. But it's very like, well, yes, naturally. I mean, naturally it worked because it's just what the doctors said. It was the doctor's recommendation. But like, obviously Winky,
Yeah.
He's like,
yeah. Like he knows.
I'm
he's
just
like,
a little baby. I don't know what happened there. Yeah. Like, fuck off, dude.
Oh, yeah. It's like you mentioned earlier, kind of like that veil of psychopathy. Like.
Yeah, that's how he reads to me. But obviously I don't know him and I do have a degree in psychology, but I am not a licensed anything in that field. So I can't be diagnosing anybody, but there are vibes.
Yeah. Of a dangerous, snaky kind.
So the next time you sit down to breakfast, think about how the government and corporations are able to manipulate you because of the man who convinced us bacon and eggs was the healthiest thing we could eat in the morning. So if the factory farming shit never did it for you and you've been looking for a reason to motivate you to quit smoking and or become vegetarian, here you go.
Here you go. What's interesting about, you said, with the freedom torches or whatever, obviously women weren't smoking and there's the big conspiracy with the tobacco industries that, now we got our eyes on kids. Many people I talk to who are smokers, just like me, started before we could legally buy cigarettes, blah, 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 blah. With these vape pens, I have seen them advertised as better for you than smoking, as a better way to quit smoking. And they taste like bubble gum and cherrylicious and
flavors that children like.
Matcha, because we know all you weirdos love you're obsessed with matcha. So put it, and I just watched a course goes out again about how we literally don't know how this is affecting young people. So we don't even have the research to tell us if it is better than smoking.
Oh, and I'm sure the research is out there. We are just not being given
We're
access
just exactly
to it.
like what you were saying, which is like, and we know the components of it, which is that it's a heated coil heating nicotine and other unknown flavors and particulates and maybe even superheated metals.
Oh.
Going straight into your lungs and your bloodstream. And these are young people, and it's easier to smoke inside, so you don't have to go outside to smoke. You don't have to necessarily be like coy about it, around other people, and it doesn't smell. It doesn't stay in the air. So people are just loading. It's not just like, and it's twice as much as a cigarette.
Oh my God.
The nicotine, And I think about it all the time. I'm like, these kids are not going to be all right. These kids are
I
not
hadn't
gonna
even
be-
thought about that leap either of like, oh, okay, we got women.
Yeah.
How do we increase sales now?
Who's next?
Who's not smoking?
Yeah.
Fucking
Babies.
children.
Le
God.
babies. What do? We make it taste like bubblegum.
Yeah, what do kids like?
Yeah.
Let's make chocolate cigarettes. And let's
Yeah.
make all the coolest people in like kids' movies smokers. And, you know, yeah.
And make
Action
it
heroes
fun
are
to
gonna
hold.
smoke.
And you can get different colors and skins and have a chain on it even. It's like a new accessory. Insidious.
And I'm sure it's happening with stuff. Like, I just want to know. I want to know,
Yeah.
like, what in my house, like, indirectly is, like, a product
Yeah.
of someone being like, I want to sell X, so I have to make Y popular in order to sell X. I want to sell cigarettes. I have to make green popular. Whatever it is. I know.
That's going to sit with me. That's going to stick with me, dude, because you're right. And you were right to call it out. Like, immediately I was like, goosebumps. I don't feel right. I feel hot. Oh.
Yeah, it's like dark in a whole different way than I think we've ever gone before, which
Yeah.
I was really excited about, as well as highly disturbed by. So,
Testament to the type of people we are.
yes, I know.
Ooh,
It's
we
like,
haven't
yeah.
gone to this dark place yet.
Ooh, we haven't freaked him out in that way yet. Hooray.
Ooh. That was really good.
Well, good. I'm glad you enjoyed it. I'm glad you found it interesting. I hope everyone listening at home found it equally interesting. As ever, tell your friends, tell your enemies, spread the word, help us spread. If you thought it was interesting, send it to somebody on Spotify or whatever it is, just this episode.
Yeah.
And, see if they latch on. And
This is how we
follow
revolt.
us. That's right. This is how we revolt. Our podcast. This,
Oh, well, I meant
ladies.
ladies.
Ladies, our podcast is a podcast of freedom for you. Let's start using those techniques to sell the podcast. I think that,
Oh, right. Use the dark
beat 'em.
teachings. Exactly.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Exactly.
We're witches, right? We're all witches.
we're all witches.
Let's
Yep.
turn this propaganda spell around on their asses.
Oh, I like that. Yeah. Let's do it. Everyone cast an anti-propaganda spell. But do please sell the podcast. to
Yes,
the
that too.
Your friends and hated ones.
While you're hexing the government, tell
Yeah.
them about us.
Give us more money. No. Or don't. Just come support us. Like I said, even if you're a free member on Patreon, like you get some fun bonus content, and like we just love seeing our numbers over there grow. And as we said, when we get to 666, we're still a long way off, but like every person counts. So come on over to patreon.com/now it's ruined and give us a follow, and also follow us on Instagram. That is the social meds where we are. And if you like a video podcasts, Patreon is also one of the places you can do that, or YouTube. We are also on there. So come give us the follows on the places. And
Come on over.
come on over. Burr, burr. Yep.
I know you shouldn't resist.
I'm like Roger Rabbit when he's hiding and he's
Yeah.
like does the shave and the haircut knock. Anyway,
Thank
we'll see
you.
you next time for ruining something. We'll find out. Fuck around and find out.
Fuck around. Do it.
This is your official blessing and command.
Command,
fuck around.
warning, threat.
Go fuck around.
Peace be with you.